Hey guys, it's Fishan Dragon, and as for recording this video, we're about to enter the end of 2023, and I usually have my annual tier list for Genshin Impact, but because this year I'm unfortunate, I'm falling sick and I'm just recover, so I cannot do the normal tier list because if not, my voice will gone. So I need to make like tier list that's shorter one, which is the pulling recommendation tier list. So this is like the tier list based on how I will recommend you to pull this character. So aspect for the 5-star character is like C0 only, and for the 4-star you aiming to get like until C6. And take notes, in here power is not only factor that I review, so it's also involving their utility or how irreplaceable for their roles in certain team can also contribute in this recommendation. So let's get started. So let's start first with I don't know. So I don't know is basically the tier where you actually cannot even pull for them because like it's maybe just free and you don't have any option to just get it. It's just like they give you, and probably you already know. Traveler is I don't know how you even want to pull Traveler, so I don't know. Alloy also, I don't know how you will get Alloy right now. It's already like past 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and that's free. I don't know how you can get her again. And lastly, Dory. Dory's I'm so sorry all Dory mean. Just like I don't know how to utilize this character even until right now. Even Ember, I still have more clue about her kids compared to Dory. So I am so sorry with the Dory mean. I don't really know how to utilize Dory though. And let's start first with the Serious Stone right now. Okay, so we'll just start first with the highly recommend for me to pull if I am Genshin Impact player. So I will start first with the Mondstadt region. Of course, the first one is Bennett. Bennett is very recommended. Even you are early player, endgame players, very recommended. Even get the consolation until C5. Even C6 still have some in the niche. He's very like versatile, can be like mostly as a buffer, but some people can use Starting Fury and make him as a DPS and it can work. That's how good Bennett is. No one even like questioned him. And the next one is Fischl. Fischl also like, I think people underestimate of her, but in the end, like Fischl, it's still a very good unit that you can utilize, very versatile right now, especially when Dendro come. The classic, like you play Taser, it's still very good. If you want to play right now with Aggravate, still good. Everything with Fischl right now, it's very good. Even like the Golden Troop, the new artifact set, it just make Fischl even better. And getting her more consolation even actually better. And the next character is Sucrose. Sucrose also another underrated character that people always, I don't know, when I see tier list, they put like Kazuha so high, but Sucrose is so much like low. I don't know why. But I would say if you know how to play Sucrose, I would say trust me, she is about as good as Kazuha though. Although I admit Kazuha is better in terms of quality of life, I always choose Kazuha over Sucrose. But in the end, if you know how to play her, she's about as good as Kazuha. Just try to use Sucrose in Taser like Sucrose, Fischl, Shinsho, and Beidou. You will feel that these actually like all of them 4-star, but they actually perform very good. And Sucrose is one of the characters that you should not underestimate. Literally, if you need the second Kazuha, use Sucrose. It's very highly recommend for me to get at least C0 Sucrose, and if you can get more consolation, that's even better. And the next character is Xiangling. Xiangling is basically just Pyro Archon on this state. As a sub DPS, she's so crazy. Pyro Nado is so strong, no ICD, like literally enable everything. Vaporize, international, national, whatever teams that even in Navia team recently we need Xiangling. God damn it, this character is no worth getting more consolation even until C6, that's even better. So I have no words about this character at all. The next character also starting with X, another broken character 4-star, which is Shinsho. Shinsho is just too broken because he has profile like healing, resistant interaction, which is very important for some character. Very good hydro application. Literally any like team that you need hydro application, just put Shinsho and you kind of basically safe. I really recommend to get him at least 1 or even until C6. Very good character for you. And the next character, which is Zhongli. Zhongli still give me a mixed feeling. Yes, he is actually very good character. He has the strongest shield. He can reduce the elemental resistance, something like that. It's very useful in overall and all. But I say like the importance of this Zhongli itself, it's mostly contribute. It depends on what platform you play though. If you're playing on mobile, I agree. Zhongli is literally highly recommended because dodging in mobile is such a punishing moment. I even feel so terrible doing dodging in mobile. It feels not comfortable at all. But when I play on PC, I feel the value of Zhongli is just in recommended. But as far as thinking again, like Genshin Impact is mobile games also, right? And I believe a lot of people also play on phone. So I say like giving high recommend, I think it's still pretty much a fair. So yeah, in the end, I feel like, yeah, I think Zhongli is fair if you want to put in like highly recommend. And the next character, which is Kazuha, people I think already know that. Kazuha is just very good, literally the elemental buffer, can do crowd control, and basically everything on him just feels so smooth, very comfy, literally put in every single team that you want to buff the element. It's just like very good, especially also if you want to play Ayaka in freeze, Kazuha is usually better even than Sucrose. And yeah, you just like Kazuha just like feels like a better quality of life compared to Sucrose also. So yeah, I very highly recommend for you to pull at least one Kazuha because it can help you a lot in your account. And even in exploration, although he's not the best anymore, but he's still pretty much useful for you to kind of fly a little bit. And the next character, which is Yelan. Yelan is basically highly recommend also for you to pull because it's just like second Shincho. Although yeah, some of people agree that she doesn't provide like resistant interruption and healing, but she also provides that kind of upside, which is she is HP scaling. In my experience, rolling in attack, it's usually lower than getting HP. My rolls mostly dominant is HP. So because of that, your damage with Yelan potentially can be higher compared to Shincho. So that's another upside that I can say it's kinda neutralized. And other than that, in exploration, Yelan is still pretty much more useful than Shincho because Yelan can run. If you're going through the desert, the exploration, you feel Yelan is such a plus though, to having like can run faster. And the next character, which is Nahida. Nahida basically is the best Dendro characters, just very versatile. If you want to do with any Dendro reaction, you can just put Nahida, make it like, let's say, Nilo very good, Sino become like just better. Also like with Alhaitham become also very strong. Basically, Nahida just carry anything that if you want like with Dendro reaction though, she's just basically the best. And Dendro also is such a strong reaction. And also in like overworld, you can just use the 3 karma in there, like snapshot and just get the material without climbing. So that's also such a quality of life. So she is basically highly recommend to pull at least getting one. And the next one is Furina. Furina also I have mixed reactions, same feeling like Zhongli. Because Furina is basically, I say if you already have Shincho or Yelan, getting Furina is not really necessary. It's just around in here. But let's say if you already have Shincho and you don't have Yelan, getting Furina is fairly high recommend. Because she is so versatile, also have like similar like Bennett, but even more versatile because Bennett is attack scalar. Furina is just basically increase like buff elemental damage. So it doesn't like require you on like certain scaling. Even with Navia, she can just buff because she buff elemental, no buff scaling like attack or something like that. So because of that, like she can become very valuable, but depend on your account progress. So because of that, I'm very confused. But in the end, I just pretend maybe you are a new player and don't have so much roster. I feel like Furina then still pretty much a very highly recommend just because the buff is so universal. And also the crazy about her, if you use her, all your main DPS can use Hunter set because that's Hunter set also such a very great artifact. You 36 crit rate, which is crazy. And I think because of that consideration, I feel like getting Furina still pretty much highly recommend. So that's all my highly recommend for you to pull for Genshin Impact character. And now we will move into recommend. So in the recommend tier, this is mostly the character doesn't have like as high value as this part. However, they still can become like a second alternative or another option in your second team, or pretty much like stuff that still gives you something useful and can pretty much help you in your account. And let's start first with Beidou. Beidou is another character people underestimate, and she is 4-star, but she's actually very good, especially if you want to get like more consolation. She even works better because she is like basically official with of course lower like electro application, but she provides like this resistant interruption and also like reduce damage taken. So that's actually good for like both like application and defensive utility that people underestimate. And the next character, which is Child. Yeah, I know some of you will say like Child it's not so much provide utility and very restrictive, something like that. Yes, I agree, but Child, the reason I put in a recommend tier list because in one stupid team he works so great and they come to the point like I'm not understand. That's actually very strong, which is like Child in international, like Child, Xiangling, Kazuha with Bennett, it just worked very great. I feels like Child with Xiangling just blends so kind of perfectly. I feel like if you never tired to play this one single team, yeah, I actually recommend for you to pull Child. Child itself will perform very good in that one team. And then next character, which is Hu Tao. Hu Tao is one of the character that I don't really like to use. Honestly, it's not type of my playstyle, but because I cannot bias, and if I remove that bias, Hu Tao is basically very strong character. Like the damage is just so strong, it's not hard to play. It turns like from HP into attack, so you can just stack an HP if you have a bad luck in your rolls in crit and still pretty much over a very good damage. Usually like early player or beginner, I really recommend for you to pull Hu Tao. So although yeah, I'm not really into her playstyle, she's just overall just very solid DPS. The next character, which is Ayaka, quite similar with Hu Tao, one of the very solid DPS, especially if you can play Ayaka in freeze. Most of the case you will never suffer just because how solid it freeze. Although I agree that freeze team can be expensive because you need Shenhe, Kazuha and Kokomi, but if you can afford it, basically Ayaka is still pretty much a very solid character overall to carry like your endgame stuff. So yeah, solid character. The next character is Raiden Shogun. Raiden Shogun is still pretty much a very versatile character that I recommend for you to pull, become like main DPS, sub DPS, can like in any multi-reaction including Dendro, you can just stack EM, it can also work. The reason why I didn't pull in highly recommend if someone asks, just because I say this is on Z0, if C2 Raiden then sure I will pull high recommend, but at Z0 I think in terms of her power as a carry, it's not as good as before because right now, because we have more roster, character, and Dendro also such a powerful. Like making Raiden this Z0 itself as a carry, it's just quite competitive as them. So I don't think like at Z0 is she's in the high recommend, but still pretty much a recommend character for you to get. The next character is Kokomi. Kokomi is one of the healer that I recommend for you to pull. Because like other than Bandit, in here there's no healer, right? And yeah, you can say Furina, but Furina mostly we use as a sub DPS or buffer. And yeah, Kokomi is one of the character that I ever recommend for you to pull as a healer in terms of 5-star because it also provides a lot of utility, especially in Dendro. Even can work with even like some of the Furina team lately. And yeah, pretty much can be useful though. You can just put like TTDS and utilize that. And if you need healer, just slap also with Kokomi. So pretty much a solid healer overall that have multi-function. And the next character, which is Yaemiko. Yaemiko is still one of the characters I recommend. Maybe some of you will ask, why didn't pull like the same tier as official though? Because officially, if you let's say already reach like C4, if I'm not wrong, she can be slightly better than Yae, because Yae, the main downside is that she took a little bit longer time for you to build a turret and you need to burst, so it takes longer time as a sub DPS. It's not as optimized as Fischl itself. However, it doesn't mean say like Yae is just worse way than like Fischl all in all. It still have function where basically Yae can be useful in for the burst itself if it's case of AoE itself, because in that she can just nuke that Fischl cannot did. And also Yae still pretty much offer a good substitution as your second Fischl. Let's say in the first team you need Fischl, then you can put as a second like team that you need Fischl with Yaemiko. And other than that, Yaemiko can be great in such aggravate team like specific with Alhaitham, just because C4 Fischl cannot fully utilize that, and Yaemiko usually will get more advantage in here. And also in Tinari team, Yaemiko also can be usually better than Fischl. So because of that, she can be a good alternative for Fischl if you don't have or you want a second Fischl. Still pretty much a recommend character for you to pull. The next character, which is Kuki Shinobu, one of the character I recommend for you to pull, especially if you want to get more consolation at C2. It's extend also her skill, and pretty much this character very good for hyper bloom proposals. If you need like to make a very solid character in hyper bloom, Kuki is always one of the choices, and just slap everything in EM, then you're done. You deal a lot of high damage. And my favorite right now, Kuki, is with Alhaitham in hyper bloom. So yeah, very recommended for you to pull. And the next character, similar case like Child, which is Nilo. Nilo is very restrictive character. Can only literally play in bloom if you see 0 though. But in that bloom team is just so strong. Also that if you can utilize like with pair with Nahida and Nilo, it just right, especially in AoE cases, it's just nuclear seed everywhere and just so strong and very convenient for you to clear. Just because of that, if you really can stay just to play in this one singular character, then Nilo is one of my recommendation because it's just very solid in Bloom team. The next character is Alhaitham, one of my favorite main of all time. And basically, he is just second Nahida, but on field, he deals so much damage. Literally in any Dendro reaction you want to pair, just put with him. The only main downside is just because he is not as versatile as Nahida, because he can only be on field. But other than that, she's such a good enabler, still pretty much very over, like a very solid team. If you want to pair even with Nahida, it's such a strong team. Alternative like Dendro character if you need besides Nahida though, I recommend is Alaitam. The next character, I think you're getting bored with Dendro, but Yao is basically a solid character that I recommend for you to pull. She offers so much heal, even at C0 or something like that, actually like heal a lot and have like, also she's Dendro can work on certain team like Bloom and other even Dendro reaction, it still can work with her. So because of that, she feels like not only as a good healer, also provide a quite good amount of like Dendro reaction, and Dendro such a strong reaction. I really recommend for you to get at least Yao Yao and get even more constellation, it makes her even better. And the next character, which is Baiju. Baiju has similar role with Yao Yao, but I think right now when Furina come, Baiju is a little bit better just because it heals for everyone, also that can synergize better with Furina compared to Yao Yao. Other than that, also like Baiju has another upside, which is provide this pseudo shield for resistant interaction, which is good. All in all, it also can become like a good driver in any Dendro team reaction, so still pretty much solid healer. The next character, which is Neuvillette. Neuvillette is one of the characters also that I recommend because also he's Hydro. Hydro relatively a strong element because usually it can blend with different reaction, it's pretty solid. And so does Neuvillette. He can work in multi-reaction, Taser, Vaporize, Dendro related. It actually can work with Neuvillette even in Mono Hydro. He's one of the main devices that you can try with different teams, so it's pretty much fun. And also it's not that hard to use, basically just Hydro Pump or Power Wash Simulator. He has like HP scaling, it's usually advantage, same like Yelan. Because if you have a bad roll, HP usually tend to going like a high roll compared to attack, so because of that like he get advantage to get like more damage though if you have a bad roll. So because of that, is one of the characters I recommend. And the last character I recommend, which is Navia. I don't know if this is recensive bias or what, but I feel like Navia I will pull and recommend. I know he's not as strong like Neuvillette or Alhaitham, something like that, but the thing that why I still recommend Navia just because her nuke damage though. Her nuke damage is just so high. Like in screenshot, it's just satisfying my eyes. I don't know why. It's not because of power, it's just like it's satisfying my eyes. It's been a while I didn't see any character that deal like 300k damage easily, consistently. Because of that, if you maybe like to see nuke damage like this, I recommend for you to pull for Navia. Not because of power, it's because this is just a screenshot number that can please your eyes. And the next tier, which is nice to have. Nice to have is not necessary, it's better than pull if you like, but this is one kind of like a character that can give you a little bit value on specific team or specific setup. So mostly can say like it's a niche use. So probably you kind of already understand what I mean. The first character I will start with Jin. Yeah, Jin before probably I'll just pull if you like. But right now if you have Furina, Jin is actually very good like teammates that you have to pair. Literally one of the Furina team that I always use is I use mostly like Jin right now, just because I feel like in Furina in with Jin, I feel it's just so good for you to get stacked earlier though. So because of that, I think she's still nice to have, especially if you have Furina. And Barbara also nice to have, just because I feel with Furina itself, it makes like healer a lot better. And Barbara is one of the characters can heal a lot also to get stacked. I think in some of the purpose, Barbara can be a good substitute if you don't have Jin itself. And I forgot to mention is Mona. Mona is mostly if you want to play like Morgana or like Freeze variation, she's still pretty much nice character for you to have for additional. After that, Chongyun also can be like, it's not necessary because I say he is good, but if you want to play in Freeze variation. And the next character is Fenty. Fenty is one of the characters I say it's nice to have, especially if you meet the condition where you fight the enemy, they spread and you can just suck everything. Then Fenty will become such a blast, especially in the kind of early spiral lobbies. It's such a blessing because it can pull everyone. So when you have this kind of situation, actually having Fenty, you will feel like it's actually nice to have him though. So one specific purpose, it actually can become very useful. The next one is Rosaria. Rosaria still pretty much serve a quite good purpose if you want to play in freeze variations or even like some of physical team variation. She's not of course the best option in overall, but at least in freeze and like physical, she's one of the top that I will recommend. So in some of niche cases, she's still pretty much useful. Next one is Sarah. Kujo Sarah, especially if you have like target to pull until C6, and she can become a good electro buffer all in all, especially if you have like character like Raiden Shogun, but of course it's just niche only in electro. And the next character I forgot to mention, which is Diona. Diona is still pretty much quite solid. It still serves purpose in, especially in freeze team if you need healer. But other than that, if you just want to use her as a defensive utility and as a healer and shielder, she also pretty much good also as a substitution if you don't have like Kokomi or Bennett or Baiju Yaoi or something like that. She's still pretty much quite okay for you, so it's pretty decent. So having her, especially if you can get more consolation, it's pretty nice to have. The next one is Toma. Toma is mostly, I say, it's nice to have if you want to play in Bargain, because I feel like in Bargain itself, he can provide like, I think the better one, I think even a little bit better than Xiangling Super actually, at least in my enjoyment. And other than that, if you want to play in like Hutao variation, then he can also become the alternative. That's why I say nice to have him also. Next one is Goro. Goro is basically the buffer of Geo, except for Navia if you don't get C6 Goro itself. But if you want to get until C6 Goro, yeah, he's also become quite versatile, like Geo buffer all in all. So if you want to buff your Geo, most of the case you can use Goro. Also, next character is Shenhe. Shenhe is also same case like Goro, Kujusara, but this one for Cryo itself. So if you want to play especially like in freeze, or you want to buff your cryo, let's say Ayaka team, that works very great. Also Rice-Lee and Ganyu, yeah, pretty much Shenhe can serve the purpose of you. The next character is Farzan, basically just same with like Shenhe, Kujosara stuff, but this one for Anemo. It's nice to have her, especially if you can get until C6. I forgot also to mention, which is Wonder. The reason I feel nice to have this Wonder is not because power or something like that. It's mostly because I feel it's in exploration. Wonder is such a blessing, especially if you cannot reach the higher place, like it can just fly. It's just the best in terms of exploration. And Mika, I think Mika before I just want to put in here, but considering again like with Furina, actually Mika is quite useful, and Furina also pretty much a popular team. I think it makes like Mika right now has some usefulness, at least on some niche cases, so it's still nice for you to have. I forgot to mention again, which is Kaya. I forgot Kaya still work in some of the freeze variation stuff, because the burst can be quite good for like applications. So some of the niche stuff you can use Kaya though. Yunjin is also can be character that nice to have, especially if you want to utilize in normal attack, let's say Yoimiya or Ayato, then she still can provide some usefulness, and it's still nice for you to have with the character you want to buff the normal attack. I literally forgot to mention Shifrus. This character you haven't released, but we already can see the trial. As far as I know, she can work on some niche cases or specific purpose, especially in Overload. I think she can have some utility, but I'm still not sure if it will be in here. For now, I'll pull in here. And the next tier, which is pull if you like the character. Take note, this doesn't mean this character is useless or weak. There are some of them actually solid character. It's just like some of these characters that have the same role just provide more benefit. I will say Ganyu first. Ganyu is one of my main, okay? I still like this character so much. But the reason I pull in here is that if I want to compare it with other main DPS right now that we have a lot of roles, like Nevilet, I'll hate them. It's just off with Ganyu, just because Ganyu also for mobile is just such a pain. So in terms of also flexibility, this character also provide more like flexibility for mobile players. So Ganyu doesn't get so much benefit in there. But in the end, if you want to use her as a main DPS, it's actually pretty solid, especially if you play in PC. And yeah, another character I'll give like Kirara. Kirara is basically one of the characters I really like and I use often. But the reason that I didn't give in the recommend is just because like as an alternative itself, we already have Yao Yao that's have in the Dendro as for defensive utility, and then we already have Baiju though. And Baiju and Yao is actually better than Kirara, because like Yao Yao itself can heal, Baiju already can do both even. So the reason for get to her is basically nothing much besides like pull if you like this character. And yeah, it's no problem for me because I still like this character, I still use it, still can be useful also. So that's what I mean, they are not useless, they still pretty much useful. It's just like some of them just better at it come to the point like they already become alternative. So mostly the main reason for you to get her if you like this character. So pull if you like. So yeah, the rest of them will go in here except Gaming and the Cloudy Trader itself. I'm still not sure about their kits, so I will not judge. So I will only say until Rice-Lee in here. They are also pull if you like the character though. So yeah, this is all the pull if you like the character. So yeah, don't be sad if your character is in here. There's some of the character I would say is Ganyu, Kirara, and also like I really like Sino, but I don't feel like Sino also deserve to be recommended because like other Dendro character in here just so solid. Although he also still pretty much a good unit for me to use, but they're just not comparable in here. And yeah, that's everything about my pulling recommendation tier list. Yeah, if you agree, and that's nice, but if you disagree, also feel free to do so. Anything I appreciate. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit the subscribe button and like. And even you hate, you disagree, but you still like, and I much appreciate it. And I hope you have wonderful holiday season right now. And I hope the next year will be better for you. Have the best luck maybe in your Genshin and other purpose that you did. And I will see you next one. Bye bye.